Hello there, I'm Laura Young. How are you all doing? How are you doing with what is upon us, what we're all going through different ways? I have a quote here from James Baldwin. He says, "This is the charge, the dangerous moment when everything must be re-examined, must be made new, when nothing at all can be taken for granted." How true that is. What we thought was normal activity, what we took for granted, what we did on a day-to-day basis, seems so far away now. So how are you doing, really? Today I'm going to talk more about the changes that are upon us, the changes we have wanted to make and didn't make, and maybe how the little bit of time, extra time we have now, might give us a chance to reflect and to do some things differently. All of us, have dreams of changing, dreams of making some shifts so our lives will be better. However, we get busy, we get stagnant, we get afraid of stepping out of the black and white frame of seeming security, and we wait. And we wait for what? We wait for the right time. We wait till junior's out of college. We wait until we lose that extra 10 pounds or whatever it is that we need to do. And so we don't do it, we put it off, and we stay in our frenetic busyness. Right now, that frenetic busyness has to be examined because it really didn't work for us too well. But now we are kind of stopped in our tracks. For weeks we thought this virus thing was over there, and it was happening to other people. And we weren't taking it so seriously, but it's upon us, and it's causing great grief in a lot of families. It's causing a lot of upset in others, and for most of us, a lot of anxiety and fear. So what are we going to do with this particular moment? What are we going to do differently? How are we going to make it work in a different way? How are we going to stop and reflect on our lives and look at the ways we've been living our lives and taking things for granted? I had a mother say to me the other day, my husband is naturally a workaholic. He stays at the office, and when he comes home, he kind of wants the family to snap to it and be working as well. Well, lately, he's still working. He has a skeleton crew, and he would be expected to work even longer, but somehow he's making time to come home and have dinner with the family. It's lovely. It's lovely having him home at dinner time. But the kids kind of don't know what to do with him at the table because we're not used to him being there. So I say to her, keep helping him feel more at ease at the table, because the workaholic in our culture is really condoned. So he has been doing what is culturally condoned and being in intimacy with his family is something that he is learning to do, and it may not come naturally to him, so you and the children can help him. She's pleased. She's also wondering how long it will last. Maybe it'll last long enough for it to actually become a pattern, you know. I have had women talk to me about, what am I going to do? I have the children at home from school, and I have my husband home in the house working. I can't get a moment to myself. So we talk about the fact that quite often in a house, even in small homes, there are rooms designated for offices, there are spaces designated for the pets, there are, the children's playroom, and quite often, if someone is left out of this mix, it's the woman. Where is her corner? Where is her place of refuge? So I encourage women at this time, if you're homebound, and with children and husband, to go ahead and make a statement, to create some boundaries in a way that you have never done before. I've known women before who've made a little sanctuary for themselves, a little altar in their closets. But needless to say, they had large closets. Most of us don't have that size closet. Even if you don't have a room, you can designate a corner of a room, a place maybe with a little table where you put a plant or a picture of a loved object or person, or a plant, or a visual out the window, where you go to this place to do your journaling, to do your reflection, to do your meditation, to do your praying. But one thing you have to be clear about is making sure that the family knows this space is yours. It's not for doing the bills, it's for doing inner work, a space where they leave you alone unless it's an emergency. Which leads me back to one time as a single mother working, and mother of two, and my children got home from school, and I asked him not to interrupt me at work unless it was an emergency. And I was at mental health and in a meeting, and I get this call out that my daughter is on the phone, and of course I'm visualizing hurt and blood and broken bones. And it's my daughter who says, Mama, where is my roller skate? I can only find one. Well, naturally, in our house, it was kind of like that all the time. It was perpetual search. We used to laugh and call our place. So I said to her, wow, Lois, I asked you not to call me, and I had to get called out of a meeting unless it was an emergency. And she said, well, it was an emergency for me, and so it goes. But mothers, create boundaries around a space for yourself in this time where you can go and be by yourself, even if you have to put a sign up on the door that says, do not disturb. I've had mothers I've had phone sessions with, who've gotten in their car and driven around because they have not created a safe place where they wouldn't be interrupted in their home. Some good things are happening with the changes here. People are addressing, probably without acknowledging, they're addressing their stubbornness. Yes, we're all stubborn. That's why it's so difficult for us to change. We're all stubborn, thinking if we hold on, or if we're attached, excuse me, if we're attached to something or some way or some religion or some political stance, that we have control over our lives. Underneath stubbornness is usually the same thing as is underneath anger and that is fear. Fear that if you let go or if you become vulnerable, you will become wounded or taken advantage of. Change is really hard, so we stay inflexible, and we have stiff necks, and we have hurt backs, and we have tense jaws, and we have pursed lips. Tension becomes so normalized in our lives, we don't realize we are inflexible. I'm going to read a quote here from excuse me, W.H. Auden. He says, we would rather be ruined than changed. We would rather die in our dread than climb the cross of the present and let our illusions die. W.H. Auden, A-U-D-E-N, from The Age of Anxiety. So anxiety has been alive and well with us a long, long time. So letting go of some stubbornness and looking at some changes, I've noticed some really, really interesting changes, positive changes, in some of my clients and the way they have reported to me and in myself. I've had a couple of responses from clients, couples, and some of the reading I've recommended for them to read some time back. A book on nonviolent communication, a book looking at all the ways we critique and question and blame and how to do it differently. And they had, they're two different couples, and had said, yes, we'll get to it, but they had not. And I'm happy to report that one couple not only got the book, but they're reading it together. They're less threatened somehow when things are on, written down, and they're not accosting each other face to face, but they are discussing things, she said, in a different tone. The other couple are reading the book individually. I don't know quite yet what they've got out of it that will help their marriage and their tendency to criticize and to blame. I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say. So part of what I'm asking you to do is use this time. You have a little bit of time now. And you have been stopped in some ways in your frantic busyness. So use it for something new, something you put off before, something that will benefit you as you go forward. The only change that's really going to count here as we go forward into the unknown, which scares us, of course, is inner change. The change that will last is inner change. So allow yourself some space, mothers, to have a spot of your own and create some boundaries around it, and know that you stand for something besides the usual motherly chores in the household. You have a life, and you have a private life. Not only will this help you, but it will teach your children and also your husband. So as I wind down today, I want to offer you, I'm doing phone sessions and Zoom sessions. You can contact me, You can contact me at laura@liferesourcecenter.net, or you can call me at my 24-hour messaging center for a 20-minute free consultation at 334-277-7955. I'm open. I'm willing. I want to be helpful. God bless you all, and may you come out of this not only stronger, but wiser, with an open heart and a willingness to include not only yourself in loving yourself, but your children, your neighbors, your community, and thus you can make a difference in the world. Bye now. See you next week.